Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and I just got back from the Philly Area Gaming Expo, or Page 2. Let's roll it. Now, I overbooked myself at Page this year, so I didn't have quite as much time to run around doing interviews or just taking in the expo as much as I would have liked. Did enjoy playing my games, but there are some things that I missed out on. I was, however, able to go over to the Trollord Games booth and get the updated version of the Monsters and Treasures book. That is the reforged version. Has the new interior design that matches the other two core books now. Did a really good job kind of burning out the OGL and creating this really neat new product. So I did get that. I also had Stephen Chenault sign it, and I was able to have this short interview with him. So let's take a look.
I am Stephen Chenault, CEO of Trollord Games.
And Trollord Games is famous for putting out what game?
Castles and Crusades.
Gotcha. Which is one of kind of like the original generation of these games that kind of came out building off of the OGL, correct?
Yeah, so we predated the OSR movement. Castles and Crusades came out. We first released in December of 2004. And after that, the OSR kind of explodes, builds some steam after that. So yeah, we came out before any of that was really a thing.
But you're a little different because you are not rebuilding like an older rule set. You kind of progressed the rules. What makes Castles and Crusades different than what people typically think the OSR is?
So I think that when you look at old school games, a lot of people think, oh, these are really the tough games. You get killed really easy. It goes back to the 1970s, 1980s. When I started playing, when the games were very different in kind of style. They weren't as much role-playing games as they were, kill this guy, take the gold.
Take the loot. Right.
Yeah, kill and loot, that type of thing. Lots and lots of fun, but games have moved on, evolved, whatever you want to say from that. They've kind of taken on a life of their own. I think that Castles and Crusades, we never really, though I'm a huge AD&D hound, and I love that. I played Advanced Dungeons & Dragons even for a year after we released Castles and Crusades. What we did is we took that concept, the concept of fast play, dangerous play, and more importantly, the CK, our GM, has control of the game table. So if they want to have more role-playing, or they want to have more intrigue, they want to have whatever style of game that you want to have, you can now play it. When Mac Golden, Davis Chenault, my brothers Davis and Mac Golden is co-founder of Trollord Games, great friend of mine, and co-writer of Castles and Crusades. They created the Siege engine with that in mind, to make some kind of universal mechanic that you can carry into any situation, and the CK can resolve things very, very quickly, which is the heart of old school gaming, is quick resolution of things. I mean, the heart is, you don't sit there and pontificate or argue or litigate over rules and all this other stuff. You don't need to worry about that. What you're really doing is playing a game, and the more you can play it, the better, and the tools that the CK has and the players have to manage it, that's what Castles and Crusades brought to the table.
Awesome. And for folks who know, the Siege engine, you have primary and secondary attributes. Your primary attributes, your base chance for a check is at 12?
For the primary, it's a 12, and for the secondary, it's an 18. Yes.
Right, and it is possible to actually get to the 18 because you can add your level for checks.
Well, you add levels on almost everything, so as your character gains experience, you get better and better at what you do. So if you're trying to play the Conan-esque character or whatever character you're trying to play, when you're 25th level, you get a plus 25 on almost every attribute check you make.
Yep.
So whether it's a prime or a secondary, chances are you're going to make it. Unless it's the Demogorgon or whoever.
One of the cool things that I loved about it is, especially for like Thief class, you have to make a choice as to what your primary attribute you're going to be, but that's not all of your different Thieves skills. And so you're going to be really bad at something to start out, but as you level up, that's kind of showing that you progress in your skill.
It's when I mentioned earlier that the players get tools as well with the Siege engine, and that's a perfect example of it. Another way, and Davis does this all the time, he'll always take his higher rolled attributes and put them on his secondaries, so he gets bonus, and his lower rolled and put them on his primaries. That way he gets, he's got a better chance on both directions, and he makes a little bit more rounded character. So it's however you want to make your character, that tool, that Siege engine is there to help you too.
Gotcha. So it's a very innovative system. I ran it for about a year, loved it.
Dang, that's good.
which is really cool. We're going to go back and revisit at some point. But you had something hit a couple of years ago that kind of blew the world up because a certain coastal company that will not be mentioned, they decided they wanted to corner the market and basically pull the rug out from under everybody.
Yeah.
So now you have had to revamp. So what are you here selling at Page now?
So what we have at Page, and this is the first convention it debuts at, is Castles and Crusades Reforged. Essentially, it's the same game. We've not changed the siege engine. We've not changed any of the mechanics. We've not changed any of that stuff. So if you've got the first through the 9th printings, you're golden.
Okay.
But the Reforged has the spells were renamed. What we basically did is took any of the OGL content that was in there and the SRG content and just rewrote it or changed it. So Magic Missile is now Magi's Missile.
Okay.
So it's very, very light changes that, there's a few that might shift a little bit, but by and large, it was anywhere we found that we had copied the SRD directly, which was 80% in the spell section. The rest of it we wrote ourselves. We just rewrote that section.
Okay.
Same spirit, same idea, same rules, same outcome, different writing.
Cool. And so one of the fun things that people will often say about Troll Lord games and Castles and Crusades is you did a good job at emulating High Gygaxian for some of the writing in the book. You have it. Not. I don't want to downplay because it's a really good system.
No, it's great.
But you did hire an editor this time, so some of the High Gygaxian and the Reforged is being toned down just a little bit.
Not really. So it depends on the product. So we've hired Finn has joined us. He's our Finley Clayton. He's our full-time editor now. And he's going through. He's been given strict instructions to not change any of Gary's, because we're republishing Gary's stuff as well. Gary Gygax.
Okay. He's
not allowed to change any of that. Just edit and move on.
Gotcha.
But he is definitely coming in and making sure that when Davis and I ramble on too much about something, to kind of. And Davis does tend to, a little bit more than I do, go into the esoteric.
There's a few parts where I have a pretty good reading level, and I was like, I don't know what they just said.
Davis spends. So Davis Chenault works for the company as well. He's our main writer, and he spends a great deal of time just, reading weird esoteric stuff, and so he's got all these concepts he's constantly coming at us with, So we have to tone that down a little bit. But the Gygaxian, to write in High Gygaxian, I think it's a very good thing. We had one customer complain about the Hermit, which we just released. Gary Gygax's Hermit is just out, and he said, "You need to tone down the language. I don't have time to go look these words up." And I was thinking, that's cool. We're not going to do that. But, and it's okay. Just go look the words up. It'll be all right.
It's Google. You can just take a picture and define it. It's good.
And that's kind of the joy of reading. When you're reading something Gary wrote or people write like this, you're going, wait a minute. What? What does this mean?
There are points where Gary needed an editor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, without a doubt. But there's also words. I wish I could remember it. It's in the Hermit. I had no idea what that word meant. I can't remember what it was, but I was having dinner with Luke Gygax about 3 or 4 months ago, and I was telling him about it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember that word," and he could remember it from his childhood. It was so funny. I was just rolling.
Because he just talked like that whenever he got into games.
It came out. It was just funny.
That's awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much for the time. I will be picking up the Monsters and Treasures at some point. And it was really great to talk to you.
Well, thanks for talking to me. Appreciate it.
I would love to chat with you and bring you on channel sometime to talk about more Troll games that are going on.
Just reach out to us, and I'm more than happy to hop on the channel.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Coming up, I've got more videos to do from Page. I am about a third of the way through writing my review for The Electric State. I'm really excited to get into that because it is such a cool game. I've been promising it for over a month. Then I've got The Path of Glory for Dragonbane. I've got Shadowrun Munchkin to review. I want to play that a couple more times before I get into it, and a bunch of things that I picked up at Page, which I will reveal in the coming videos. Until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.